What happens when a nation refuses to wait for permission to develop? In 2025, Kenya made a choice that sent shockwaves through Washington. This is the story of a $1.5 billion highway that became a symbol of Africa's new independence. For decades, Kenya's roads were falling apart. Farmers couldn't reach markets. Students walked for hours just to get to school. Businesses were losing money every single day. The question wasn't if Kenya needed infrastructure. The question was, who would help build it? Kenya approached its Western partners first. The response: conditions, delays, and studies that took years' recommendations that solved nothing. Then China entered the room. No lectures, just blueprints. No theories, just time. And one sentence that changed everything. We can start tomorrow. $1.5 billion. Not for future talks, but for actual construction. A modern expressway system connecting ports, cities, farms, and entire communities. China didn't just promise, China delivered. The American response: panic. U.S. analysts called it a strategic red flag. Diplomats whispered about consequences. The media claimed Kenya was falling into a trap. But here's what Washington really feared. Africa was choosing its own path without asking for permission. On the ground, something beautiful was happening. Mothers who used to wake up at 4 a.m. to beat traffic now reached work in minutes. Farmers delivered fresh produce on time. Students arrived at school safely. Ambulances saved lives faster. This wasn't just concrete and asphalt. This was dignity. Of course, critics warned about debt. They talked about influence and geopolitics. But Kenyans asked a simple question. Where were these voices when our roads were crumbling? Where was the investment when we needed it most? Why can we only develop if it's on someone else's terms? This highway represents something much bigger than transportation. It's a statement. It's Kenya saying, we will not wait anymore. We will not slow our dreams to match someone else's politics. We will build our future on our own terms, and every single kilometer that was paved reminds the world that Africa is rising. When the final layer of asphalt was poured, when the highway stretched clean and flawless across the landscape, Kenyans felt something powerful. This wasn't just development, it was transformation. This was ownership. This was the moment Kenya told the world, we decide our own future. And Kenya's choice is part of a much larger story. Across Africa, nations are negotiating like equals. They're comparing offers, demanding better terms, and choosing competitive partners. The days of accepting aid with strings attached are ending. The era of African agency has begun. America calls it a strategic warning. China calls it partnership. But Kenyans, they call it something far more meaningful. Progress, because at the end of the day, a road doesn't ask where its funding came from. It just connects people to opportunity, and that's what matters most. This is more than a highway, it's a symbol of a continent that refuses to wait, of nations that choose their own partners, of people who deserve the infrastructure their potential demands. The world is watching, and Africa is rising. What do you think about Kenya's decision? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more stories of African progress.